So, when you experience a change, sometimes you're confronted by a past action or an opinion that you may not be proud of. Or maybe you feel a little bit divided inside. These can be not only counterproductive to shifting into the change, it can be distracting and derail the change altogether. It's just not comfortable. So let's dig into this, okay? Some of us, not all of us, some of us have truly screwed up in the past. You intended something good and it went all kinds of wrong. You might have hurt people. It may have been deliberate, it may have been unintentional, it may have been low thinking in the heat of the moment, or sometimes the most surprising, it may have been a secondary unintended result and you didn't see it coming and you're kind of completely innocent. However, what you did hurt someone. I know it sounds like a downer already, but let's just be honest. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes we hurt people. And as a result, we hide pieces of ourselves from ourselves or hide pieces of ourselves from others. And that hiding pieces of ourselves puts us on hyper alert and it is exhausting. That hiding can make you fight yourself and scramble to be good in other areas of life. Let's just call it compensation. We might go into hypercompensation, and sometimes without needing to, you fly off the handle if someone suggests that you're not being real. Now, this all bears discussing, especially if you lead others. A different perspective on the same issue. So not exactly about hurting others, but this hurting others may have resulted from a conscious decision. And after making it, you owned it, took it back immediately, but there's something that lingers in emotion, a guilt, anger, shame, and you can make your own list. Now, I feel some of you checking out. Really stick with me here. I'm going to release part 5 and 6 at the same time so that you don't have to wait long to see them. I bring up this topic with compassion. One, because I really held myself back for years on this very issue. And what I'm going to share with you is consistently helpful across the board. And I want to share this with you. But for now, you need to stick with this because as we define this, you start to identify where it might help you. When it is known to you or others that you screwed up, or simply that you did what you needed to do and it resulted in hurt for others, not an inconvenience, actual hurt. There's a risk of division, a risk of being ostracized, or a risk of being kicked out of the group. There's a risk of being labeled. There is a question in your mind, how can I ever forgive myself? How can others ever forgive me? And the result of this, you want change. The reality is something happened in the past. Is there a way for everyone to forget about it? Is there a way for me to ignore it forevermore? I mean, I'm high vibrational. I just need to act as if it never happened, right? Or maybe I'll just move and never tell anyone about it. So no joke, there are a lot of trainings and a lot of options to handle this. We won't get into that right at this second, but the gist is you don't want to be divided from others. You don't want to resist others. You don't want unnecessary stress. But some of us feel like our options are super limited. And that is a problem, and we're going to address that in the recommendations video. So let's go on to the second issue I wanted to discuss. When you want to change and go in a different direction, but you feel like you are divided up as a person, you do not feel whole. Like you're missing pieces of yourself, or you can't express certain parts of yourself. In a way, you feel at war with your own self. You feel like you need to conquer yourself. And when you're in that place, you always win and you always lose. In my opinion, that's a problem that stops you from shifting effectively into your stated change. Here's some high points you might relate to on this. So, one, when you feel divided, I am my own worst enemy, and therefore I need to kill it, defeat it, imprison it, or lock it away. Now, remember, we're talking about you against you here. Okay, two, distractions. I feel the need to self-soothe. I have a sense of self that is misplaced or undervalued, and I begin to compromise. Three, again, about feeling divided. Perhaps it's labels. Labels from ancestry, from ethnicity or society, from outcomes, from achievements. Labels have an interesting way of shifting our energy into, no, I'm not. Or I know what you are, but what am I? Or sneakily, maybe they're right about the label. There may be other ways that labels steer us, but the thing is that labels can invite people to believe in limited options or limited belonging. And personally, I'm not a fan. Labels feel permanent sometimes. They are sneaky ways to divide something that is inherently unified and complete. So yeah, not a huge fan of labels. Four, moving on. Feeling divided can come from a mismatch in skills within myself. You have a lot of skills, but skills need to work together, but are at unequal levels of proficiency. That's the imbalance. This can result in incorrect measures or incorrect expectations. This mismatch can bring on stress. Again, it's compensation. And while well-meaning, if you are not aware of the mismatch for yourself, you can teach or pass along an incorrect limit to others. Many of us see this in our generational lines. I won't go into this in depth. This conversation really depends on the problem you're addressing from part one. You can make all of these adjustments on your own. I trust you. And finally, what I want to change, but when I feel divided, sometimes in order to act in this change with a newfound sense of self, I feel the only way to pull it off might be to treat others poorly, to demonstrate, yeah, I'm not a part of that anymore. That's not something I'm associated with, so I'll treat those people poorly. Or it could be that you feel the internal or external pressure to convince the people you used to agree with to change along with you. So you're putting on the peer pressure. And again, this is well-meaning, but that may also result in poor overall outcomes. You want to shift into the change and you feel like encouraging others to change too. That might be the best way to make it stick. Except after a while, it can come across as low-key controlling. Okay, I'm going to cut off the description here. I know this is a heavy one. Thank you for hanging in there with me. And please don't check out. Notice if you are numbing out. And one thing I know about you, you are up for this. You know the change that you want. You know, if you took my advice, you know that you're invested in the change. And you know the desired outcome. You are up for this. And you have great reasons. But because you want this change, I must bring these things up. Because when we don't address it, if we don't get the change that we want in a long-lasting way, we get it for a moment and then something yanks us back to default, back to a start position that we didn't want. But because I love you, and boy, I love y'all. Because I love you, the next video will include my recommendations to resolve these issues. Now, please note, most of my suggestions are things that you can do 100% on your own and in privacy. But I will also make recommendations that can include the help of others because, like I've previously stated, the faster you want something, cooperation is helpful. You will need people. But to begin, there are a few things that you can do 100% on your own. Okay, my friends, look for part 6.